Today I'm going to show you how to add clouds to a sky in Photoshop. Hey guys, and welcome to Phlearn. My name is Aaron Nace, and you can find me on Phlearn.com, where we make learning Photoshop and photography fun. And today's episode, it's really simple, but it's something that you can use in a variety of different photos, whether it's a portrait shot, a landscape shot. Today we're going to be using an architectural shot. We're actually going to be adding sky to clouds. We're going to be adding clouds to a sky. It's just a really great way to add a little bit more interest into your photos. You don't always have like the opportunity, or it's just the sky sometimes isn't that nice. It's not that pretty, it's not that interesting. So learning how to add clouds into a sky, or maybe even replace that sky altogether, will really make a difference in your end photo. In today's episode, we're going to show you the best way to choose photos so you can actually create a realistic sky. Then I'm going to show you how to create a layer mask and then actually place those clouds into the image. Then for coloring, we're going to show you how to adjust the highlights and the midtone colors to make it actually look like it was part of the original sky. Then we're going to darken it down and really bring everything together. All right, so here are our images for today. We've got a couple images from Fotolia.com. We've got a sky, and then we've got our architecture background. So the first thing we need to do is just use our move tool, and I'm going to click and drag from one image to the other. So we're going to hold down the shift key, click and drag from this image over to my house image. There we go, and now we've got a layer on top of the house image. Now, when it comes to actually choosing a sky for your image, you're going to want to choose something that's going to complement the rest of the photo. This is not a photo where I don't want to try to put like a, like a red and purple sky with like a deep sunset. And this is not something that I want like, super bright fluffy clouds either. This is a little bit more of like a low contrast photo, and I don't want something that's going to pull attention away from the house. So just a couple like light fluffy clouds in the background is perfect. So that's why we've chosen this light fluffy cloud background. And you can see what's nice is it's actually a bit larger. If I just zoom out there, you can see it's actually a bit larger than the original photo, which means we're going to be able to move it around and put it in the place that we actually want. All right, let's go ahead and make that invisible. We need to start by creating a layer mask on this image. Now, in this case, we're pretty lucky because the sky is relatively clean. It's going to be easy to create a layer mask, but you can make layer masks in many different ways. I'm going to show you guys how to make layer masks in two ways for a sky. Let's go ahead and click on our background. Now, the first way you can choose is we're going to go up to select, and then I'm going to go down here to color range. All right, basically here you can just click right on your sky, and there you can see a little preview. You can change what your preview looks like. By default, it might be on quick mask. I like it on grayscale, so I can actually see what's going on here. Now, if you click this little plus eyedropper, there we go. Then I'm going to click on a couple more areas of the sky, even down there. There we go. And it's going to be able to select out, for the most part, the majority of our sky. Now, sometimes it's going to select out some of the house or whatever you have as well. So you can use the minus eyedropper tool and minus that out too. It can be a little bit of a battle to choose like the best kind of balance between them, but for the most part, this is going to be a pretty good sky selection. Now, you can change your fuzziness to either include more or less of the selection. All right, in my experience, it's okay to have a little bit of the house or trees or whatever you have in the selection. It's probably not going to show up very much. All right, so that's one way to make a selection of a sky. And if you wanted to, you could always refine that edge. Now, in this case, because our sky, it's such a clean line between the sky and the house, what I'm going to use is just the magic wand tool. We don't need to go fancy with this. So I'm going to grab my magic wand tool, and we're going to bring our tolerance to about 20%. We want contiguous checked, and we want to hit sample all layers as well. So basically, I'm just going to click around a couple areas of my photo. You know what? Let's bring our tolerance up to about 30%. Okay, we're going to click a couple areas of the photo, and you can see that we've got a selection basically similar to wherever I click. Now, if I hold the shift key down and click on more areas of the sky, it's going to continue to select more and more areas that are similar to wherever I'm clicking. So I just want to do that a few times until I have my sky as a selection. Okay, that looks pretty good. My sky is basically selected, and now we're ready to load it as a layer mask. So when you have any selection active, we're going to go ahead and click on this layer 1 here. Let's go, just double click, and we'll just call this clouds. Okay, anytime you have a selection active, if you click on your layer mask button, which is right down here, it's going to go ahead and load that selection into a layer mask. Let's just zoom out, and there we can see this is exactly what we want. The sky selection is now our new sky. Now by default, whenever you have a layer and a layer mask, they're going to be linked together. So if I were to use a move tool, and let's just click here and move this around, you can see that both my layer and the mask are moving together, which in this case we really don't want. So we're going to click on this chain link that's between them, and that's going to unlink the layer with the layer mask. Now I can select these and move them separately. Like I could move the layer mask if I wanted, and you can see the sky is staying in the same place. That's not exactly what I want. What I want is to be able to move my sky and have the layer mask stay in place, and here's why. Now I can just choose to put my sky wherever I want and see how it actually blends into the image with my layer mask in place. This way I'm a lot more likely to actually choose a location for the sky that I like, and I'm not stuck with what I originally chose as the location. You can even do things like, if I'm gonna hit Command T, we're gonna right click and I'm gonna say flip horizontal, so I could flip that sideways horizontally if I wanted to. All right, that looks pretty good. I like that there. Okay, and you can see it's not a huge contrast between the clouds and the sky, which is exactly what I want. Now, the next step is to go ahead and color match the sky to what was there originally. The reason why color matching is important is because the colors of the original sky play a big role into the colors of the photo. So if you just slap a new sky into an image and the colors don't match up, it's not going to look right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead, let's make this invisible. Let's just point out a couple things about our sky. All right, the original sky. So here in our highlights, it's kind of like a setting sun in the original sky, right? We have basically like a desaturated version of yellow. And then this color is a nice blue. There we go. So what we want to do is we want to bring some of this yellow and some of that blue into this photo. So I went ahead and just brought that right over top. Now you can see this, the clouds in this image here, they don't have that nice yellow kind of like warm tone. And the blue's a little bit different as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a selective color adjustment layer to change that. So let's grab our adjustment layers. We're going to click right here and I'm going to go all the way down to where it says selective color. All right, now selective color adjustment layer is a really great way to just kind of like fine tune some colors. You can also adjust your highlights, your midtones, and your shadows as well. Now, by default, if you just create an adjustment layer, it's going to affect everything. So if I were to change like my blacks levels, you can see it's affecting the house and the sky, which we don't want. So we're going to right click here and I'm going to go to where it says create clipping mask. And this is going to make sure that it only affects the clouds layer. This way, if I make it lighter or darker, you can see it's just affecting the clouds and not the house, which is exactly what we need to actually blend everything together. Okay, perfect. So here's our selective color range. Now what we're going to do is we're going to change our highlights so they actually bring in a little bit of this nice yellow color. So let's go to our we're clicking on neutrals. We're going to go to whites. That's basically the same thing as highlights. All right, now our job is to add a little bit of yellow. So we just click here and push that towards yellow. You can see how easy that is, right? Less yellow is going to be like blue, more yellow is yellow. It's not very difficult. There we go. And let's put a little bit of a magenta in there too. That's going to really do a nice job warming those up. All right, cyan, that will be more cyan, and that will be less cyan. Let's do a little bit less cyan. There we go. Let's just look at that before and the after real quick, and you can see how nice and warm that's making the image. All right, let's go back to our neutrals here. And now I can choose to add maybe a little bit of yellows to our neutrals. Let's see what we need from our original image. Let's just turn this off and then on. There we go. That's way too much yellow right there. All right, a little bit of magenta. There we go. And there we go. That looks pretty good. And if we needed to, we can even go into the blues and we can change the blues to be a little bit more similar to the original one. Maybe I want to make my blues a little bit darker. So I'm going to pump the black where the blues are. There we go, to kind of match what my original colors are a little bit better. And I've just got this on here to kind of as a visual reference. All right, let's go ahead and close that down and let's look at the before and the after with that selective color on there. So here is the sky as it was when it came in. You can see it doesn't really fit with the image. And then after that selective color, it really does a nice job blending into the photo. And the last thing I want to do is add a curves adjustment layer to just make it a little bit darker. So we're going to grab our adjustment layer, go all the way down here to curves. Now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to right click and say create clipping mask because we only want this to affect the actual sky. We're going to click right here in the middle of our curves adjustment layer and just bring this down just a little bit. Now, you always have the option to get creative with this. If you wanted to, you know, make it really bright, you could totally do that. If you want to make it really dark, well, it's not going to look realistic, but you can do whatever you want. We're going to bring it down just a little bit, and that's going to help it make it look a little bit more real. All right, let's close that out, and that's all there is to it, adding clouds to a sky in Photoshop. Let's take a look at the before and the after. All right, here's a look at our before and our after. Thanks so much for watching today's episode, guys. I hope this helped out. Next time you've got a sky and you need to add a little bit more interest to it. If you love learning Photoshop and you want to learn more from Phlearn.com, just click that subscribe button on your screen. We release free Photoshop and photography episodes every single week. And if you have an idea for an episode or a question about today's episode, leave it in a comment right down below. We'll do our best to get back to you. Thanks so much, guys. I'll Phlearn you later. Bye, everyone. Woo! Delicious. Them clouds is amazing.